we'll start out with Spider-Man's outfit. So to start with Spider-Man's outfit, let's use one of the two colors. We'll use blue just to start. And what we can do is use this blue on some of the inner parts of Spider-Man's outfit. So if you follow along with me here, you can see where I will be using this particular blue color. And on this page, it's an action shot of Spider-Man shooting the web, which is a really fun page. However, it does create some smaller lines than we might be used to. So just be sure to take your time when you're coloring in these different parts of Spider-Man's body. You see how there is a lot of really small areas. So if you have a crayon, you may want to make sure you're keeping it nice and sharpened, and be sure to pause and come right back if you need to. We will be here. I will be here with you. So no worries at all. And then you can catch right back up wherever we are. So this is the inside here again, right over towards Spider-Man's ribs and midsection area around the stomach. We're just going to continue to make this all blue. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing here on the right side. So this is really the colors that you see for Spider-Man, most commonly in blue. And we'll just finish out some of the parts here. Here, this is blue as well, just the inner part of the arm. Okay, very nice. And because, like I said, some of these little spots are very, very tiny. So if you have a marker, especially, a lot of markers will give you a very fine point at the end. So you can use that to be sure you're coloring it in without any real issue when you get to some of the little tinier areas. So here we're going to move on to the blue with the legs. So both of Spider-Man's legs on his costume are also blue. So we can go ahead and use that. And I am using the same technique where when I get to the close to the edge, you see how I like to just make sure I give it that border, and it gives me a part where I know where to stop. And then I just like to color up and down. Make sure I'm coloring it in nicely, nice and neat. Just taking my time. Take your time. There's no need to rush. You can just go ahead and enjoy all of the coloring, all of the art for what it is. Just take your time. I find it relaxing. Let me know in the comments if you do as well. And what we can do is here, this big part of the leg is really the last part that we'll need to use for our blue. So you see how we have the long part here of the leg. So this could be a little tricky. Just try your best to follow along, edge it out like so. And then you can just go ahead and color it in. Makes it a little easier for yourself. Okay, this part here, make this blue as well. Some of these little lines that you see that are part of the shadow, you want to try to make those a color as well so they don't look funny or odd at the end because they're just white. Those are also part of Spider-Man's costume. So let me know in the comments, who is your favorite superhero? My favorite superhero, in case you're curious, is, there's a tip actually. My favorite superhero is actually behind me. So if you can look closely, or you see it, maybe you'll catch it in the intro or towards the end of the video when the screen's a little bigger, you might be able to spot my favorite character, comic book character, in the background. So let me know in the comments if you're able to spot who my favorite character is. So giving you a little tip. But the Spider-Man character I do like as well. He's in my top of comic book characters. I love all the movies. I love all the comic books as well. And ever since I was little, I used to enjoy the comic books, The Amazing Spider-Man. So we are just about done with our blue. I'm just coloring it in a little bit more just to give it a little more blue color. So whenever you feel like that blue is right, you can just move on now to our next color. Just color this in a little bit so it sort of matches everything else. Very nice. So with our blue being finished, we know what Spider-Man's other color is, and we'll jump into that right now, which is a red. So if you have any red color, just use that for Spider-Man's costume and the rest of the body. So we can just start out. Let's start out here with the left hand, and then we'll just kind of move on. And if you hang out with me till the end, I do want to do some fun things to the background. So let's try to do some really nice creative things at the very end. So I'll show you what that means once we finish Spider-Man's costume here, just to be able to make it a little more colorful, take the creativity to another level here. And here it gets a little small. Again, a marker will be really useful in that kind of an area. Colored pencils, obviously nice and sharpened, will get you in there with no problem. So let's just be a little careful here around the fingers and the fingertips, and then you can just have some fun just coloring it in. Once you have that space and you know you're not going over the line, you could just color it in a little quicker, but still take your time when you get to these edges, because if you go too quickly, you're going to have that color go right off the line, right outside of the line. And that's okay. It's okay too. It's just something you can make sure for next time you try to work on a little more closely, or you start the page over. So either way, if you want to start with a fresh page, you can always print another page and just have fun with it. So we're moving on to the middle of Spider-Man's body here and just having some fun with this red. And now we're starting to see Spider-Man's costume really come to life, right? You see the blues and the reds all mixing in. And we are going to use the same strategy. When we get to this blue, we can just kind of edge that out with the red, just to make sure we don't use the same colors in the same area. And right here, we are now done with the middle. It's coming out great. You're all doing a great job. Just take your time, relax, and have a wonderful creative time here with Spider-Man. Let's see. So now these little areas here, do not forget about those. You see those in the corner there? Just want to continue to make sure you color those in. Let's move back up and get Spider-Man's face and head. So here we have Spider-Man's famous Spider-Man head here, and we can just color around it. Nice round shape. We want to leave the eyes white, of course, and then just go right underneath. So just go ahead and make sure you edge that out. And so because Spider-Man is a really simple combination of colors, just red and blue, I figured we could use some other colors and do some things maybe in the background. So I'll show you what that looks like. And it's totally optional, but if you want to take your page and do something a little extra creative with it, hang around and I'll show you exactly what that means. So take your time here. We have Spider-Man's hand, which is, as you can see at the end of it, shooting out a spider web. So let me know in the comments who your favorite superhero is. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm curious, because if you let me know in the comments, I can try to see if we can do some of those characters on the channel. If you're interested, just let me know and I could try to work some of those in. All right, so we're finishing out with Spider-Man's hand that is letting out a big spider web. So we'll come back and color that in a second. Excellent. You're all doing a great job out there, so keep it up. All right, so Spider-Man costume is finished up top. So we're finished with the top half of Spider-Man's costume, and now we're just missing the legs. So let's go in with the same red color and color that in. I know Spider-Man does have a few other costumes that we've seen in movies or in some of the comic books where he's sort of a different character, or there's a different version of Spider-Man, right? Let me know in the comments if you like some of those as well. I know there's like a black costume, but for this particular picture, I decided to just go with the traditional Spider-Man colors on the costume. So just the classic, very classic red and blue. But if you have another color you were thinking of for this particular costume, that's okay. Yeah, let me know which colors you decided to use for this costume that Spider-Man's wearing here. But this is a really fun coloring page because there's a lot of action. He's flying, looks like he's flying through the air here, and he is shooting out that web. So I really liked this page when I saw it. And again, you can look in the description if you want to color along with me. So it's it'll be easy for you to find, and you can download it, print it out, and you can do it at home or wherever you might be. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. All right, so we have finished Spider-Man's body and it looks great. Let's really quickly use a gray color. So if you have any sort of gray tone, whether it's a light gray or a dark gray, anything will work. But we want to use this gray to just signify the spider web that we see Spider-Man shooting out. So with this, I have a very fine point, very small, just to be able to get into these spider webs here, because they're very thin. As you can see, they're very, very, very thin. So I'm just going to use this to kind of go here and follow along. See that? Very carefully, because this spider web here that he's shooting out from his hand is very thin. So if we're careful, we can try to get all of it. And then color that in. Okay, so now we have a little bit of color for the web that Spider-Man is shooting out. Very nice. So as I said before, if you want to do something a little extra and make this color pop a little more for Spider-Man, let's grab a yellow. So any yellow you have, this particular yellow is a bright yellow called canary yellow, but any color you have that's in the yellow family, we want to use, and let's make a border. Let's make a fun border for Spider-Man here, just so he has a little more color to the page other than just red and blue. So with this, let's just do our very best to follow along the edge here of Spider-Man's body. So start off on the left if it's comfortable for you. And what you could do is just basically follow along the same pattern that you see for the coloring page. So with the head, you want to just go around just like that. And you immediately are going to see how this starts to add something extra special to our coloring page. So go around the spider web, go around Spider-Man's fingers down, and I'm just copying the shape that you see to create this border. So once you get used to it, you can kind of move a little faster. But again, if I'm moving too fast, feel free to just give it a pause and just jump right back in. So right here, just outlining the rest of Spider-Man's body. We have some fingers, and don't let the fingers get too tricky. Just follow them along. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, just like that. You don't have to get too close. Give yourself a little space. And then once we get back here, now we finished our border. So what we'd like to do here is let's give this border even more color by just using that same yellow and starting to color it in. Excellent, excellent. So I think you should be able to see on your page how this color, when you put it side by side with the red, with the blue of Spider-Man's outfit, it already starts to make it that much more colorful, and it gives you a nice compliment. And now if it makes it feel as though, hey, Spider-Man he's got something else going on around him. He's not just flying out there on his own. He's got all the attention. He's out there saving the day. And so as we go through here, get these little spots in here too, just because we have a border. So in the page, you see there's some little spaces in between the web, so you can get those as well, just so the page looks consistent. Excellent. You're all doing a great job. And this border, like everything else, I always say you can be as creative as you want. So there's a couple of different ways you could do this. You could make it, a different color, obviously. You can do a couple of layers to this. So if you want to, after let's say the yellow color, you want to follow the same line, the same pattern with green and orange, you can keep going all the way till you get to the end of your page. That way you're not, you can stop there so you don't draw on your table. But you can keep going. This would be a really colorful page if we added multiple layers to it. So this is, I feel like, a really nice complementary color yellow to these, to the red and the blue. Let me know what you think about it, or if you used a different color. I am curious, because then I can test it out myself and I could see how that would look on one of my pages in the future. Excellent. So we're coming around, and so what I do want to do is, when we get to this area here, let's not forget about the middle. So we're going to come back and actually color that piece in, and you'll see why that's important, because if we have a border, we need to, anywhere we have any spaces, we want to make sure we're capturing as well, just to give it a more complete look. Okay. Yeah, this is coming out amazing. So I really like this yellow around Spider-Man. Makes him feel more of a superhero too, that he's saving the day, doing something big. And now around the fingers, it might get a little bit more delicate there, but just take it easy, take your time. And the yellow really shouldn't blend in too much with the red, because we have a nice sort of dark red going, so it won't overtake it even if you cross over the line just a little bit. All right, so now we're finishing out, and you can see we're almost at the finish line for this border. Yeah, so it is just about complete. So as you can see, we finished our Spider-Man costume and created a beautiful yellow border around it, just to make it that much more colorful. But if you want to take it a step further with me, let's draw a giant spider web around our Spider-Man character. So we could do that very easily. Let's get a gray color. It could be the same gray color that we used here at the very top of the web off of Spider-Man's hand. So use that gray and bring it back. And what we'll do is, together, we're actually going to draw a fun border around Spider-Man. So to do that, let's pick a point here, somewhere around the top left of Spider-Man's head. So let's say right around here. And what we're going to do is just draw a line, sort of a curved line from here all the way down towards the bottom underneath Spider-Man's hand. But when we get to some of the parts of the border and Spider-Man's hand, we do not want to draw over it. Okay, so here's what I mean. So take a look at this. We're going to take this marker and we're going to pick a point right around here, let's just say. And we're going to go all the way. And when we get to that part, let's use an imaginary line and keep going, and pick up where we left off, right about here. Okay. So this is going to be one of the webs. Now from this point, let's choose where the spider web will end. So we're going to essentially go from this side. So start where you are. We're going to go across, and it's going to be a slightly curved angle. Okay. So here's what I mean. We're going to go from here and we're going to go across like that and stop at your border, and then imaginary line. If this line went through it, where does it finish off? Okay, so we're gonna go here and go all the way across. All right, so now that we have this point, we're going to use this as our guide to continue making more lines. Okay, so let's make a few more lines. Start again at your central point and follow along the same, about maybe a ½ inch apart or so, and you want to go here and just end it there. And then with your crayon, your marker, just kind of go through imaginary. Don't draw it until you get to past the border, and then you want to create that line. So this line finishes down here. This line finishes down here. Let's create a few more. Angle your hand a little bit, and you want to go out just a little bit more. I'm just going to continue to imaginarily follow this line. So here, I might get a little line here, and then I'm going to continue to go. So again, this is completely optional. If you're not comfortable with it, you do not have to do this, of course. But if you're just hanging out, just checking it out, I appreciate it. We could just do something more fun. I felt like Spider-Man needed a little bit more background. So same thing, right? Another line here. And then we're going to follow along that way. And then here, what we can do is let's go on another line, but in this same direction, similar to the top. Okay. We're going to go through, and we're going to go through. Very nice. And how about we make one more line down this way? Okay, so same angle. You're going to take the same angle, but you're going to come out wider with it. Okay, very nice. All right, so now let's start to bring some of these lines together. And the way we do that is we're going to essentially do a couple of basically small U's. So you can just do that, and you want to connect these lines one by one. So here you start out on the left side, and you just do kind of a half U, and then another half U, and then another, and another, and another. So now we're going to just continue to do that all the way down. You're just going to continue to do that all the way down. Very nice. And anytime you run into a border or Spider-Man's body, we're going to skip that. Okay, so let's make sure we're not doing that with Spider-Man's border. So you want to just use this same angle, so you kind of see the angle coming out. Very nice. And you can do as many of these as you want. You see how I may jump around a little bit, and there's no right or wrong to how many times you decide to do that. So just remember, if you do a line on this side, just try to imaginarily go all the way across and create that same line, so that way we have the same number of lines. Okay, so here's another one, and I know I have one kind of going here, and I will just make another line this way. And now we have a really nice background going for Spider-Man, and it doesn't feel like Spider-Man's just flying in thin air. And feel free to connect these lines later on if you want to. Very nice. And then we can start to make some really big webs across here. So what you see is here, as you start to get closer, you want to represent that you are getting closer to the bottom of the page. Very nice. We could take this all the way out. Let's draw one more line here in the middle. But even though I don't have a line here, I'll just create one. And what you want to do is just make sure you are following the same trajectory. And one last one right here towards the bottom. So let's make sure we make this line go a little bit longer. This imaginary line here goes there. So let's just do one more line to finish it out. You're all doing a fantastic job. So here we go. And then this line is going to go something like this. So again, just curved shapes. You had little U's, and then they started to kind of get a little bit longer as you went along the page for Spider-Man. So we created a yellow border around our Spider-Man, and then took it another step by creating a giant spider web behind our Spider-Man character. I hope you had a great time today, and if you did, be on the lookout for more Sam's Cool Colors episodes in the future. I look forward to seeing you all next time.